Hi everyone, it's Lisa. Nice to see you. I've got an absolute treat for you today. I will stop kicking the laptop, I promise. We are going to be speaking to Joe Lindsay, who is a therapist, and she's going to be talking to us all about grounding, mindfulness, and generally everything, all things anxiety related. So here we go. Hi everyone. So as promised, this is Joe. Joe, tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been a therapist for? Like what got you into this line of work? Just tell us a little bit about you.
So I've been a qualified counsellor since 2011, but obviously, like any profession, you kind of do a bit of a placements and all that kind of through training. So technically, I've been counselling for just over 10 years now. What do you want to know? So my main line of work has always been in addictions.
Okay.
So, but it's one of those with addictions comes everything. It's kind of the symptom of lots of other stuff in behind. And currently I work a few hours on a helpline, which is quite challenging.
Brilliant.
You never know what kind of is coming on that call. So you have to quick think and advise and all that as you go. And then I work in private practice and have done for 9 years.
Did you specialize in like any kind of techniques? Is it like CBT, or do you do, is there any kind of specific technique that is your go-to one?
Mindfulness, which is where obviously this is based from, and what we're going to talk about today. So my original training was person-centered based, if that means nothing to anybody, but it's about kind of really being very natural with a person and allowing somebody their own process to take place. So it's all about the relationship between the counsellor and the client, making sure that's right, that somebody can explore and find their own answers, as we normally do on a day-to-day basis, but it can get stuck when all anxiety and depression and stuff is in the way. But it's one of those, as you become a counsellor, we always joke about, you never actually stop studying, because other theories, I've trained in CBT, Gestalt, TA, all different therapies. So I work as what's called an integrative counsellor.
Right.
Which I think at last count I had 13 different theories on board. So I work with the person as a person, rather than kind of going, right, let's sit you in a box. That's kind of me and my philosophy around counselling. So, but yeah, really love mindfulness. That's one of the things that's kind of helped me personally in life more than anything, I think.
Yeah.
And that, everybody gets anxiety. Everybody gets low moments, but it's kind of what you do with that is the main thing, really.
Yeah. So. I've got a tattoo on my wrist actually that says you can't direct the wind, but you can adjust the sails. I'm not sure if you can see it there. And it's something that I've always stuck by, that says, you can't necessarily help what has happened to you, but you can always adjust how you think and how you react to that situation. And I must admit, sometimes I do fail. Sometimes I just react to it, and that's it. It's we're only human, aren't we? But I do try. I do try to make sure that And
I put my hands up like any other counsellor. We're just the same. There's times we don't get it right. But it's kind of you just got to do what you can do in the moment, and having different techniques like the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 that we're going to chat about today, and your wonderful charms have come out of. Works a lot for people as well as other techniques. And when I'm chatting with people around anxiety, and perhaps we're talking about mindfulness, I'll always say it's a bit of trial and error. You've got to find what works for you. So there's all these different things you can try, but it's the one that's going to help for you is the main focus.
I think I found as well, like over the years, that things that help me have changed. So as I've grown and as I've evolved as a human, you can't go 10 years without changing, can you? And it's been at least 10 years now that I've suffered with anxiety and panic attacks and stuff. That as I've changed, some of my tools that I used to use don't work as well now, or they don't work at all. So I've had to find like different ones. But I must admit, the one that's worked every single time and still does now is the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique. So but the rest of it, because you can't just rely on one, this technique, obviously for me, it stops panic attacks in its tracks, but the anxiety still needs to be dealt with, and realize what it is that's making me feel anxious. I can stop the panic, I can stop that straight off, but I can't, you know, stop the cause of it. So it will keep coming until I obviously deal with the other things. You know, and at one point, like journaling helped me, and another point that I kind of just stopped, and it just wasn't helping me at all. If anything, it was just making me angry. Another time it was, you know, like getting decent amount of sleep and stuff. So I think it changes. But there's obviously a very distinct difference between anxiety and panic attacks. So can you like explain the difference between anxiety and panic attacks? Because I think it's that one's longer term, isn't it? One's almost immediate kind of.
Yeah, so shall I explain anxiety in a general nutshell to start off with? It's probably the easiest thing, to then kind of explain why panic attacks come along, because panic attacks are sort of as a result of anxiety in the first place, really.
Yeah.
So you know, it's our fight and flight. Anger and anxiety are our very basic survival instincts. So we can't eradicate anxiety as much as we'd love to. We're able to go down, take that away. You know, we can't. We actually need it, because you know, if we think back to the days when we were cavemen, you know, we had to either fight big animals to feed our families, or run like hell, basically, so we weren't the food. And that's what this is designed to do. It's kind of to keep us safe, so that it's making us superhuman. We can survive. It's why people lift cars in car accidents and stuff like that. You know, you look at some of the news and you go, how did they do that? And it's just this system took over and made them superhuman. Problem is, with today's society, so when we only had to worry about being food or you know, eating food, finding it to survive, we are stimulated by so many different things. You know, social media will kickstart things. You know, work pressures, family pressures. You know, we're plugged in all the time, particularly with mobile phones and emails. It's constantly incoming, even through the night, unless you set a flight mode or something. So it is literally just full on. So you know, what our brain can't work out the difference between when it's kind of going into this alert mode, okay, is that difference between a saber-toothed tiger about to chase us. What if this happens tomorrow at work thought, or a little spider on the wall if you don't like spiders, kind of thing. It doesn't figure out the difference between that. It just goes, I need to survive.
So your brain's constantly thinking you're being chased by a saber-toothed tiger, when actually the threat isn't quite so life-threatening, as it were.
No, but because it very physically changes us. This is the bit that kind of captures everyone, because it you know, every emotion we have, I always say we're basically like chemical factories. We produce hormones all day, every day. Our emotions kind of do this. You're never in a constant anxious state. It might be a bit lower. It might be really intense. You might even caught yourself at sometimes going, oh, I'm anxious for about past 10 minutes. Wow. You know, we're never in a constant state of emotion, but we are constantly producing all these hormones. And you know, cortisol is a stress release hormone, and you know, and adrenaline is what the two main ones that are kind of involved in anxiety.
So we're just constantly in a state of hormonal something or other. It's just whether it's good or whether it's bad for us. So thinking about anxiety, then obviously that's, you know, us constantly thinking. I mean, somebody actually said to me the other day, because I've just taken a break from social media at the minute, because with everything that was going on, and then, you know, like the worries of things starting to go back to normal. I say normal, whatever normal is going to be. You know, and like obviously the streets and the towns getting a lot busier and stuff, and worrying about going back to work or back into the office for me, because I've been working from home. Obviously that and all the stuff that's been going on in social media, it kind of just got a little bit much. So I just took a break from social media, because somebody actually said to me, she said, it's like, if you imagine social media, so before you used to be able to regulate, if you think about before we had, you know, before when we only had like Snake on our phones, it was just like a game and you could just use it for calling and texting, and that was it. And even the times before that, you know, you used to be able to regulate what was coming into your brain. So you'd get the newspaper, or you watch the 5 o'clock news or something like that. Whereas now we've got more than 5 channels. You've got constant news on that you can literally access any time of the day. For social media, it's constantly like that. So he said it's like if you walked out of your house and you had, you know, 5 or 6 people protesting at you, all shouting at you for different causes, because everyone is so passionate about what they do. And don't get me wrong, I think in some instances, you know, social media can be absolutely brilliant for that. And it can be a fantastic platform. I mean, I wouldn't be getting my calm charms out there to people that need the help without social media. So I'm not against it, but I do think you need to kind of regulate it and just check to see what you're actually getting. What are you bombarding yourself with as you walk out of that metaphorical door, out of your front door? As soon as you pick up your phone, what are you seeing? Is it all just negative and everything that's coming at you that's going to be so overwhelming? Because, you know, before, if you wanted to go to a protest about something, you'd have to look up about that protest, you'd have to find out where it is, you'd have to get into a group of people. Now you can literally see it right in front of your face in seconds. And because everyone's so passionate about it, you kind of get that impression, right, okay, well, I should be passionate about this. And if I'm not, well, why am I not? You know, and you can't be passionate about so many different things all at one time, because it just gets so overwhelming. And then when you add on like the news features about that as well, you know, you'd literally be walking out of your door to just a barrage of people just stood outside your house. If social media was a physical thing outside your house, you know, to people just shouting at you, to someone, you know, showing you pictures of like their kids, and you know, it's just too much to take in sometimes. So I will admit myself, I've taken a bit of a social media kind of break the last sort of couple of weeks, just to kind of reset really and get back into you know, what I'm passionate about, what I want to do. And obviously it's this. So, you know, when I think about anxiety and obviously the level of anxiety and what we can do to help control that and the mindfulness around that, what actually, obviously we know that panic is a result of high levels of anxiety. So what actually happens during a panic attack? Obviously the people watching will know that you get, you know, the heart palpitations, feeling the sore throat, or, you know, the throat gripping and dizziness, nausea and everything else. So what actually like happens like during your brain, what happens in your brain during a panic attack that causes all this hassle?
Well, I'm not a doctor, so I won't profess to say I know everything about the brain. I don't. So, there's quite a lot that happens in your brain to make this survival thing happen. So, you know, you said about the amygdala kind of thing. I've got a little funky little brain here.
Oh, go on, let's see the brain.
I'll put it together. It's not an actual brain. It's designed for 7 pluses, so I'm okay to use it. But this is kind of the inside of you know, your brain and all the bits that kind of go on around here.
Brilliant.
And the amygdala, if we can point and camera at the same time, sits around about here.
Yeah.
So that's the bit that kind of initially filters the alert. Do I need to do something about that? But that's so it's the kind of starting point of anxiety, if you like. But it certainly doesn't work alone. Okay. So it's all sorts of bits that get involved. So this frontal lobe here, you know, this is your thinking center. So this is the bit that, you know, is constantly evolving. So like you said, over 10 years things have changed for you and what works and what doesn't and stuff. And that's because we're constantly developing this part from the minute we're born, because we have situations, we have life, we make a decision, good, bad, we learn from it, so we know next time that didn't work, but that does. So this is the bit that kind of decides what we're going to actually do with this anxiety. You've got things like the hypothalamus down here. So this is like your don't really know, but it's kind of almost like your regulating system. What tells your body what temperature it needs to be, what insulin you have in your blood, and all sorts of operations like that. So obviously during a panic attack or an anxiety attack, things like our temperature changes. Everything moves around our body. Yeah, absolutely. So they're involved. So it's a lot of the limbic system, all of that kind of stuff, and it's kind of all around here really. So that's as much as my brain science goes, I'm afraid.
No, that's absolutely that's fab. So,
what's actually happening? So I'll tell you kind of why you're getting these different symptoms. Okay, so it's quite simple when you look at it, and quite like, really, my body does this. So you mentioned about palpitations. Okay, so a lot of people get, you know, really fast heartbeats, or they'll say, oh my god, it's gonna like jump out of my chest or something, or I'm having a heart attack or whatever. And some people brains focus on that. Oh my god, I'm having a heart attack. And actually that brings about more anxiety even more.
Of course.
So you're just flooding even more. So the reason you've got palpitations, and you'll notice your breathing changes as well.
Yeah.
Okay. This is literally your body trying to get more oxygen in and oxygenated blood around to your muscles as quick as possible in case you need to run.
Okay.
Human. So this is like, simply, that's what it's trying to do. Okay.
Yeah.
You note it, you said about, that gripping throat. You'll notice you get like a really dry mouth, and that flip-flop tummy, all that kind of like sensations going on around your body, wobbly legs, everything.
Yeah.
Again, this is just your body changing in a way that your muscles are contracting, getting ready to go, or do something. And all your juices, if you like, in your body, or your blood and various things, you get really hot, everything, and all of it is going to your organs to, in case you're about to be eaten, that you might actually survive with one puncture wound, kind of thing. It's kind of going, protect.
And I thought, I overthought, do you know what I mean? My brain is just going and my body's just going absolutely nuts, see a spider and it's going, no.
Yeah, exactly. It's just trying to survive here. You might notice that lots of people find things feel really loud. So I speak to a lot of people that won't go in supermarkets, for example.
Yeah.
Obviously not wanting to at the moment with COVID-19, but in a normal, whatever that is, world, they'll go, I can't go in supermarkets, just everything's just feels so loud. And that is literally your body is trying to hear for where that danger is coming from. So that saber-toothed tiger, where's it coming from? Where is it behind you? So it's super heightened. Okay. And similarly with your eyes, you'll notice everything feels really bright. You see more on the peripheries.
Yeah.
Hey, it's just looking for that saber-toothed tiger. Where is it? That kind of thing. You'll notice a lot of people. So anxiety and IBS, for example, are very highly linked.
Yes.
Because when you have anxiety and stuff, afterwards or even before, if you're going to do a lecture or something along those lines, we need the toilet all the time. Number ones and number twos, and number twos sometimes become a bit loose after. That is literally your body just trying to get rid of any excess weight in case it needs to run quicker.
Okay.
So it's a very simple thing,
yet
complicated at the same time in what our body's doing.
Yeah.
And something we don't particularly like and enjoy.
Yeah.
But it's just literally your brain has gone into alert. I need to survive. I need to have this system kind of cleared and ready to go.
Yeah. So your brain's doing all of these things then, ready to look and find that saber-toothed tiger. So is that why the grounding works so well? Because obviously I know that if I've ever been in a situation where I've actually genuinely needed to run away from something, I cannot for the life of me concentrate on the small details of small items. So is that why the grounding works then? And the theory
Absolutely. So when your brain has gone into alert mode and all these systems, all these bits in there have set off, one of the main things it does is send signals to the endocrine system and your adrenal glands, which sound really kidneys, if you want to know where they are. I do know some biology.
More than I do.
and that's what produces the adrenaline, cortisol, that kind of stuff. Okay. Now those little glands can't turn themselves off. Okay, so they're just going to, as long as the brain's saying we're in danger, they're just going to keep producing these hormones, and to the point where you get saturated. And this is where panic attacks kind of come on, because you've just literally flooded your system, and it's not stopping. It's not just dealing with the danger and move on. It's just constantly in this hormonal state.
Yeah.
And then our brain starts focusing on, oh, am I having a heart attack? Oh, is this happening?
Yeah, because there's a saber-toothed tiger around, so it's going on. What else must be wrong? Yeah.
There's got to be something. So what we need to do in order to stop this response is bring our brain back into focus. So at this point, it's purely running on emotion. It's purely in that emotional part of our brain. There's no rational there whatsoever.
Yeah.
Because so where the grounding works, and whether it's the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, some people like other things. There's a huge range of techniques out there. What you're doing is shifting your brain set into the present moment.
Okay.
So most anxiety is focusing on the future, what's going to happen next, kind of stuff.
What if?
Okay. Yeah, so our brain is kind of running into something. When we're in, and anxiety and depression often come in hand, okay? And when we're quite low, what our brain tends to be doing is focusing on stuff that's already happened.
Yeah.
And we're just putting ourselves back in the emotions attached to those negative events.
Yeah.
The important place is in the now, basically, because that's the only bit we can control.
Yeah.
Everything's done in the past. You know, you can be regretful or whatever, but you can't change it.
Yeah.
We have no idea what's going to happen in the next 10 minutes, let alone 10 years. But your brain is running 10,000 scenarios of what could be. And that's what's igniting this system all the time.
Yeah.
So grounding techniques are about bringing yourself back into the present, bringing some of that rational in. Actually, is there a saber-toothed tiger about to jump out my wardrobe? I don't think so. You know, so actually, what can I do now about the state that I'm in? Do I really need this? One of the things that helps for me and for other people is to maybe have a little bit of a mantra, or a bit of a sort of saying to yourself when you kind of get into these anxious states. You know, actually, I'm not about to be eaten. I'm all right. It's fine. You know.
Yeah.
Just to kind of refocus myself and bring myself back to a more rational point and use both parts of the brain. We can't get rid of emotions. If we're purely rational all the time, we act very cold and clinical. So we need a bit of both, to what we call the wise mind. Use the wise mind.
Yeah. So it's just bringing yourself back to realizing that there is no saber-tooth tiger around, and that's it. I mean, I used to do mantras, and then I got to a point when my anxiety just got really bad. It was a couple of years ago now, and I found that I couldn't remember my mantras. So it really wasn't. I didn't help myself at all. I don't know what was going on, but I just couldn't remember them, and you know, and then that was when I started switching back to the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 again, because it just keeps on working. It doesn't fail. So it's obviously grounding is a really effective way of stopping panic attacks, because it does make your brain realize that you're in the now. You're not about to get eaten by a saber-toothed tiger. You're generally pretty safe and you're okay. So how long have you known for, how long have you used grounding techniques for? Has it been right from the beginning?
Well, in not a therapeutic aspect, I've always been into kind of meditation and stuff. Never, not in the context of like, this will help you in your emotions. That was just purely stuff I learned when I was sort of teenager exploring the spiritual world. As you do. But for me, so when I was on placement as a mid-home training counsellor, I worked in a rehab, and that's where I was probably introduced to kind of grounding techniques and mindfulness aspects initially, and could see, when where you've got so many people in a household, living in a household together, running a household, some have been street homeless for many years, all that kind of stuff. You can imagine with therapy and group therapy, emotions everywhere, literally people reacting, people kind of doing that, but just literally a few minutes a day, what we would do is literally just do some grounding techniques just to set yourself up for the day, and then again at the end of the day, just to kind of leave whatever therapeutic stuff you've done kind of in the day and yourself for the evening kind of thing. So that's where I started.
Yeah, and did they show to be like obviously very effective? I'm guessing, otherwise you wouldn't have carried on doing them. I'm guessing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I think it was around that point that I started to explore mindfulness a bit more for myself. And I'll put my hands up, and say that actually I deal with things very differently to before 10 years ago. Just purely because mindfulness is an everyday part of my world and life, and it makes me very present in my world. As I say, hands up, I am still a human, so I do react.
We're not perfect, and we wouldn't be human.
No one will be. But I always say, these techniques, it's about making it a way of your life, a part of your life, not just something you pick up when I'm anxious, I need to do kind of thing. There's certain things like the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 that can be useful in a moment or whatever for anybody else, whether it's a breathing technique or just standing in the shower, whatever. It's just being kind of in that moment, present. But,
so have you got any other like mindfulness kind of techniques or anything that can help people that obviously tensions at the moment are really high, understandably, you know, everyone's kind of a little bit on edge, I think, especially as things start to return back to whatever normal is going to be, you know, everyone's a little bit anxious about it, you know, and people that have had mental health issues before are obviously getting pretty battered as well, and I've even heard of people that haven't suffered with mental health before that are really struggling. So have you got any kind of like hints and tips or anything that we can give people now that would like maybe help them a little bit?
Yeah, so one of the things, especially when we're back in a busy world, as we will eventually be at some point, you know, a lot of people sit there and go, oh, I haven't got time to be mindful, you know, and you know, for some people they can make the time for meditation and stuff. There's a brilliant free app for if people want to explore meditation and breathing techniques, but you know, want somebody to tell them what to do, kind of thing, and it's called Insight Timer. A really popular free app at the moment.
Okay.
Well used and tested by myself, so I can say it's great.
Yeah.
So you know, not everybody finds meditation really easy.
I really struggle with it. I think like my brain either tends to the dozen, and I really struggle to keep myself just concentrating on breathing, or I fall asleep. It's one or the other. At the moment, obviously, because my brain's kind of on high alert at the moment, I really struggle to just switch off and try to keep on bringing it back. I find that my brain wanders off so easily, and then I get frustrated, so I just give up. But previously I used to just fall asleep, so I'd try to lie there and be like, right, okay, I'm going to do this now, and next thing you know, I'm like snoring away in the corner. It's not, well,
that's fine in many ways. I use meditation, and I'm sort of, because I've meditated for so many years, I don't like to listen to other people because my brain wanders off, so I do my own. But I, you know, particularly lockdown, I'm sure we've all had the lockdown sleep where you're awake at 2 o'clock in the morning all of a sudden, and even if your brain's not actually kind of actively worrying about anything, you're still awake. You know, it's wonderful lockdown sleep. We're all over the shop. So meditation for me is great at that time, because it means I put myself in a really nice space, whether I'm walking around a wood or whatever, and then actually I drift off into that dream. So actually, for meditation, for going to sleep, it's not a bad thing anyway.
Oh, okay. So, I don't feel too bad now.
So, but you know, even so, let me think of another time you can incorporate meditation anywhere, basically, in your world, as long as you don't have to actually physically concentrate on something. So one of the time when I'm stressed about stuff, you know, one of the first points of the day for me is I can be stood in the shower or something. Next minute my brain's going, and you need to think about this and this and this and this.
Yes.
Actually, what can I control in the shower? Nothing. So actually that's a good time for me to catch that mental chatter and go, this is very helpful for me. And actually I'll do a bit of meditation in the shower, or just using my senses to be in the shower. What does that, you know, water feel like running down my arm or through my hair or something like that? Just being very present and switching that mental chatter off a bit. It's always going to be there, but you can learn to kind of put it back a bit. Not you know, turn the volume down if you like. And so just incorporating, we all have showers hopefully, or baths, you know, utilizing times like that just to be mindful, just bring yourself back. Okay. We've all got natural mindfulness stuff, so you might be able to tell me what do you switch off to, what do you like to do that you just notice you go completely into the zone of.
I make the calm charms. I get to a point where like if my head's like really busy, I try to like make a couple, and then I just think, well no, because when I'm actually making them, I don't know what it is. I don't know how it works, and I'm not going to claim it's some sort of, I don't know, higher power or something. I just tend to get a bit of a feeling for people, and I'll be making calm charms, and for one I'll be absolutely happy with it, and with others I won't. So there's a lot that I end up remaking. So I'm trying not to make as many now, and trying to like pre-make them, because I do tend to just get a bit of a feeling, and obviously I'm wasting quite a lot of like metal stuff just like making up ones and going, no, that doesn't feel right for that person. But I found like the last couple of weeks that I've made up a couple of like the wooden ones, so I burn the little symbols into it because I do that by myself and hand do it. Making boxes, I love making the boxes because you don't even have to think about it, and I think that's the thing that like is the best for me. I just I just start making them, and then all I'm thinking about is where I've got to fold it and put it in, and how, you know, I need to cut all like the hay and stuff for it. It's just, yeah, I quite like making those. But then I've also got a little game that I play on my phone. It's like a weird version of Tetris. It's basically like wooden blocks or something, and you've just got to make like lines across and up and stuff, and then it just disappears. But again, for me, like especially when I'm trying to get to sleep, I know, you know, sleep hygiene and everything, which I'll cover in another video one day. But like sleep hygiene, I know that it says that, you know, you shouldn't have your phone a certain amount of time before bed, but my brain will literally just keep on going and keep on going. And if it's not thinking about something for the business, it's thinking about something for the day job, or it's thinking about something home life, or it will just keep on going. So the only thing that I can do to switch off, because I tried reading a book, but I'll find that I'll read like the same line like 5 times over, and then I'll get frustrated. So I put like the little night light switch on it, you know, where it like dims it all and everything, or blue light filter, isn't it? And then I just end up playing this game, and then within like minutes I'm like snoozing away and the phone's hitting me in the face and stuff. So yeah, it's just, I think
that's perfect examples, because what you're doing is you're just switching your brain to something else.
Yeah.
And listening to that mental chatter. I know they say screen time, you know, I've got my TV behind me, but it's lockdown working space, bedroom, you know.
It doesn't count.
but that's my saviour of a night sometimes. Again, you know, they say, you know, not to watch TV or whatever, but actually for me that's a really good way for me to switch off in my day.
Yeah. So, I think one thing that I've said to a lot of people recently is that they can't hold themselves to the same standards that they did before, because nothing is the same as it was, you know, 3-4 months ago. It's not the same, so you can't hold yourself to the same standards. You know, so we've got a TV in our bedroom, and I just think, right, okay, well for me it's just noise in the background that stops, like, because when I get anxious, my ears start ringing, which, like you say, is just it's not like tinnitus or anything. It's just that almost like they're trying to listen for something, so that it's almost like it picks up the sounds of silence. It's weird. So for me, it's just having that noise that's just not the quiet. So I think, you know, you just got to kind of do what you need to do, haven't you? So
exactly, which is why I say it's trial and error for everyone. You know, some people love I love getting out in nature, going for a walk, but rather than just walking, actually taking in what's around you, listening to the birds, you know, the smells, you know, using your senses, just be very present in your world. You can even do mindfulness doing your housework. Now, most of us hate housework. I certainly do. But you know, all those mundane tasks that we end up doing and hate because it is so mundane, to be honest, isn't it? It's you know, repeat this time and time again. Now the thing is, because we repeat it time and time again, we don't need to think about doing the washing up or the ironing or whatever. Perfect time for our brain to be really naughty and turn on and start worrying about stuff. So actually you can use those tasks, because we have to do them, to be more mindful. So actually, what does that water feel like if I'm putting the washing up, you know, bowl together? What does it, you know, if you've got a mixer tap, have you got different temperatures throughout the stream of the water? You know, you vary liquids or whatever brand you use. You know, what does it smell like? Do you get one of those bubbles that go off? Where does it go? What reflections do you pick it up? You know, you'll have your own routine of whether the glass is first or cutlery in the bottom, whatever. Everyone does it differently. You know, actually, and what does if you've got remnants of food and stuff, how does it change the texture by putting it in the water and things like that? How does it make you feel to have your hands in warm water? And just kind of really absorbing yourself in it, and again just switching that mindset to something else more positive.
I must admit, we've obviously had storms. I think pretty much everyone's had storms recently, but I think the first time it happened after it was really sunny outside. I went outside for about 5 minutes, and you know that smell that you get, it's like the rain just falling on like hot ground, and it just, it smells so good. And I was out there and I was listening to like the rumbling of the thunder in the background, and the birds were like going mad, and The cat was meowing, which wasn't quite so therapeutic, I'm not going to lie, but you know, bless him. So yeah, and I must admit, I really did enjoy that for those 5 minutes, just to sit there and really, I love that smell, absolutely love it. And yeah, and to hear all the birds going and everything, it was good. So yeah, so I think then it's just a case of just grab 5-10 minutes whenever you can, and that's it. So yeah,
even making a cup of tea or putting together food, all of it can be utilised just to ground yourself, really.
Yeah.
No, that's what I say about making it a day-to-day thing, because it makes you a much more calmer person. And you know, as I say, you can't eradicate anxiety, but you can learn to sort of allow it in when it's needed, and kind of keep it a little bit at bay. You know, reset your emotions where you can, kind of thing. Give yourself you know what they say about the Kit Kat break, you know, but I say give yourself a brain break.
With a Kit Kat? No. With a Kit Kat.
It's very mindful, chewing off those bits of chocolate before the
of course, there's no other way to eat it. Do you know what, Joe, it's been absolutely brilliant. It's been a real pleasure speaking to you. Is there any way that do you offer like Skype sessions or anything at the minute? Or?
Yeah, so I'm very much working on Skype, Zoom, or WhatsApp, or phone. People don't want to look at my ugly face, but you know, yeah, hopefully one day we'll go back to the world of face-to-face counselling, but for now, safety is paramount, isn't it? So but yeah.
So if anyone wants to get in touch with you, then how can they find you?
Yeah, so my website is joannelindsay-counselling.co.uk. You can have a good wander around. There's various things I do. If you're, I live in Taunton, so if you're quite local to Taunton, I run a self-help coffee morning where you can learn all these different skills as well. Currently on Zoom, so you might be able to join us a Zoom for a while if you're further afield. But yeah, we're a nice little friendly bunch that have good natters and learn skills and stuff as well, and drink coffee and eat biscuits, which is always good. There's various different things I do. I do holistic therapies as well, because I'm, you know, incorporating things like Reiki and stuff. So brilliant. Have a wander around, see what you like.
No, that's fab. Okay, so for everyone that's watching, I will put those links in, and I'll make sure the link's in there for the app that Joe was talking about as well. And I really hope you've enjoyed this. I know it's been a pleasure speaking to you, Joe. It really has. So yeah, thank you very much. And everyone else, I will see you soon. Thank you.
Bye.